Okay, so this one's gonna be a Sangoon guide. All right, on my shy. So here's why I think you should do Sangoon. Okay, you should do Sangoon because you get a 20% drop rate buff. That's pretty big. You feel me? You feel me? 20%? God damn. And you know the only effort you gotta put in is you gotta learn it, right? You gotta learn the fight. That's gonna take you a while, okay? Because it took me a while. It's fairly easy. But, well, let me explain this before we get started in the Sangoon guide. Okay, so the real reason why I actually did the C7 Sangoon with low gear that I have, look, I don't even have full Tuvala, okay? I'm running fucking Narchilian helmet, Narchilian gloves, and Narchilian offhand, and then the rest shit is Tuvala, okay? So, the real reason why I did this is because there's this one guy that came to the stream one day, okay? His name is Todzi, okay? Trodzi, my bad. He came in one day, he goes like, bro, Shy's broken. I go like, what you mean Shy's broken? Well, he's like, I could do C7 with Tuvala gear. And I'm like, mind blown. So I'm like, okay, if this guy can do it, so can I, right? So that's the real reason why I did this. If he said he could do it, I'm like, I could do it too. All right. So I learned how to do it. So I'm making this guide so you guys can do it. But I was scared initially to actually attempt a C7 with as low gear as I did. And I was like, well, if I did this, it's going to cost me a lot in terms of potions, buffs, and everything. But no, all you have to run is Exquisite Meal, Giant Draft, and your Villa. And your Alkstone. And then the artifacts I use is really cheap too. I use extra AP against monster and just 4 rages straight up. Like, that's my monster damage. See? 2 rage, 2 rage, 2 rage, 2 rage. I just like the cheapest artifacts that you can get. So again, your gear is literally free because this is all Tuvala. Your artifact is literally free because, well, rages are like 5 mil per pop, and you get the monster AP artifact. You literally get one for free. So these are the artifacts you use. Here's where the expensive part comes in, right? So your buffs, your gear, and your artifacts are literally free. The expensive part comes from your crystals. And the crystals I personally use is 2 absorptions. I didn't have 2 rebellious when I made this, so this is what I'm gonna use. 2 back attack ones, which crystal of mysterious darkness, 2 of those. 2 Akarods, 2 brutal decimations. Again, back attack, more back attack. Valors for crit rate. You also get 5 AP, but it's whatever. Also, you use absorptions for that healing per attack. Healing per attack is pretty good. I also use Bogwant here. When I made this account, I couldn't afford a Jiren tier, nor that I have one right now. I can make one right now, but I don't have a Jiren tier yet. So I just use a Bogwant because it was fairly cheap and available on Marketplace. And this is where people will be like, oh, this is copium. Don't use Olucus, Glorious Olucus. When I did this without Glorious Olucus, I couldn't even complete it. After I slotted them in, I started clearing them. So the 2% attack speed that you get from this is, for me, better than the Rebellious Crystal. So this is my crystal setup. As you can see, I don't have the Garmot or a Karanda Heart. I don't use the top 2 slots at all. So, boom. These are the crystal slots. These are definitely a bit more expensive, or the most expensive part here. So, we talked about crystals. We talked about gear. We talked about artifacts. We talked about buffs. Now, let's get into how to do it. So, let me go pull it up, and I'll show you how to do this. So I just did this like an hour ago or something, but I've been like fumbling over myself. I've been fumbling over myself, so well, we're just gonna watch it. We're just gonna do it on top of that, okay? Oh yeah, one thing I did forget is the skill add-ons. So the new skill add-ons are out, and this is what I use. These are the mandatory ones, okay? So the main skill you're using are 1, 2, 3, which is your right click, SLMB, which is your hop 3, kick 2, which is your SRMB, and these are the three skills that you use on Shy, right? The three main skills. And on the three main skills, I literally have plus DP, minus DP, because when I was talking to Trodzy, he said minus DP really doesn't work on bosses, so I just put it on the skill that I use the least. But your combo should literally be in some way, shape, or form SLMB, SRMB, WF, right click, right click, right click, right? Or you start off with WF, right click, right click, right click, and then you go down LMB, down RMB, one or the other, right? It should be something like that. So these are the three skills that you use, and in the three skills that you use, you basically have your monster damage, you get heal on 1, 2, 3, you get your crit rate, you get your attack speed, you get the minus DP, and I just added the plus DP for well, added defense, all right? Because I didn't really know what else to add, so I just added plus DP. So if you have anything to add yourself, you can add that. Also, you could also put try this as your add-on for accuracy and minus evasion, but you don't really need it for Sangoon because your hit rate's 100% on shrine bosses anyway. But outside of this, if you really wanted to, you could put accuracy and evasion on try this. So yeah, let's get into it. Oh, and my skill enchantments, I use sharing is caring, twirl boom, and careful. Typically, I don't end up using my skill enchantments. All right, so I don't usually use this. So the way that I'm gonna explain the boss is like you can do it on any class, because I'm gonna explain to you mechanics and how to properly DPS and how to properly dodge. So basically you can do Sangoon on any class when I show you how to do it, as long as you apply those tips and tricks. But I'm gonna show you how I did it on Shy with Tuvala gear and with the gear that I have, right? So let's get into it. All right, let's go. So this is just me running it. This was me running it earlier, about 20 minutes ago. So I pulled up the VOD and pull it up to 1080, and then we'll go. Let's go. As you can see, or I don't think you can see me, but I'm just laying back, chilling. So here we go. Here's where I start. I click C7, boom, Sangoon, and start. So this is my opener, okay? So my opener here is when the boss spawns, I skip, because I don't want to sit through this, right? Skip, and then the first thing he's gonna do is stun you. So when you're stunned, I'm typically waiting for this moment right here when this icon appears. So this is boss view. This is the first thing I do. So I'm stunned. I can't do anything. I'll click boss view, the first thing. And after that, the next thing I'll do is as soon as my character is able to move, I'll use my E for healing. And when you see this red orb happening, I'll iframe to the side, right? I'll iframe to the side. And I'll dodge this, and then right into that, I'll go into my buffs, which is hotbar 1. So like, as you can see, like down here, this is my hotbar 1, which is my attack speed buff. And then I'll go into the hold F, and then ASD, and then DSA. So they'll give me all my buffs. Okay, that's the first thing I did. And as you can see, I have no leaves here. I just started this. I just swapped to the character. I didn't build leaves, so I don't even have leaf buff. So this is I'm doing this without a leaf buff. Okay. So first thing, when this AOE comes up, iframe to the side, buff up. Let's go. Boom. I iframe to the side, and I'm buffing up. And then right after this, the boss is gonna do the first attack. Okay. And the first attack, every time you see this right here, you feel a chill down your spine. You need to stun the boss, okay? You need to stun the boss, and the way Shai stuns the boss is LMB RMB. And this is my tip on how to stun the boss. As soon as you see this, I typically side dash. I wait for the boss to show up first, okay? Step 1, wait for the boss to show up first. Step 2, side dash into LMB RMB, okay? Do not backdash because sometimes it messes you up. So I typically just side dash into LMB RMB, okay? So let's go. So I side dash and then LMB RMB. Stun, and then right here, as soon as I stun him, you can see the boss is CC'd. This is how the boss should look like when he's CC'd. And the first thing you want to do is you want to position yourself right behind the boss, okay? This is where your position should be, right here, and you should be comboing right here, okay? So the way I do my combo is I'll get 1 SLMB off, 1 SRMB off, 1 WF off, and 3 right clicks off. So as long as I get that off, then the boss is going to... So the next thing, after my damage is over, the boss is going to turn around. And again, you want to maintain your position behind the boss at all times so you can control him. Okay? The whole theme of this fight is you want to control Sangoon like he's your dog. Okay? You got to put a leash on him and you got to force him to do what you want to do. And the basic theme is, because you want him to do exactly what you want to do, you want to position where you need to be, which is always behind his back, mostly, okay? You got to understand these attacks and you got to position properly. So first thing first, when you stun him, position backwards and we'll let it roll. Again, DPSing backwards, 1, 2, 3. And as soon as he turns around, you want to dash through him to the front. So watch what happens here. I'm iframing back, and again, I'm at his tail, okay? My literal position is at his tail right here. And you want to do DPS from here. Again, you just do DPS from here, and then until he turns around. So again, DPSing. He turns around, you go behind his back again. Okay, so this is the first attack we're going to talk about, okay? This is the main attack we're going to talk about. You need to force him to do this exact pattern. Exactly what happened, you need to force him to do exactly this every single time, okay? And this will play out 2 different ways, okay? So when the boss jumps here, let me explain to you this attack pattern, okay? So when the boss jumps like this, right? Here's where the boss is. One of 2 attacks can happen. And I'll show you attack number 1 because we're going to do this right here, okay? If you position behind the boss, what will end up happening, if you go here right behind him, what will end up happening is the boss will do an attack covering like this. This is where the boss is gonna attack. He's gonna do a giant AoE in front of him. Probably more like this. He's gonna do a big ass AoE in front of him like this, and since you're basically running behind him, right? Since you're running behind him and your positioning is here, he's not mailing you a letter. When you position behind him, you're gonna have free back attack damage on the boss. Okay, so that's attack pattern 1. There's attack pattern 2, which I'll explain later. But for now, for right now, you need to focus on this one, because the other attack pattern you want to do is when you want to control his exact location. Right now, controlling his exact location doesn't matter because you're racing against time for DPS. So this is why you want to always position behind him. Again, when he does this attack, you want to go behind him. All right? So let's go. Boom. You're behind him. He does the frontal AoE. And you're behind him. And now you just get to wail on him for free. Boom. He turns around. Again, your job is to get right behind him again. As soon as he turns around, you want to be behind him. Two iframe dashes through him. And then you can start your damage rotation again. Again, he does the same jump backwards. And what am I doing? I'm straight booking it. I'm straight booking it right behind him, okay? This is where I'm booking it to. Boom. I want to be at his tail. And then again, he does this Punto Cone AoE, and you're just DPSing it. Now, again, he says you feel chill down your spine. When you see this, again, you're doing the same thing. Side dash into LMB, RMB to stun him. Okay, you need the first attack that you do on him has to be the CC, which is LMB, RMB, or RMB itself if it's off cooldown. So it has to be a CC. If you do any other skill except for a CC, he's going to hit you and he's going to kick you out. So don't fail this. This is the only way to do it, and this is how you do it, okay? As you see here, I failed, and this is what ended up happening. He debuffs me, he hits me, and he didn't get stunned. So I'm slowed, and I'm trying to recover here. So don't make this mistake by doing any other attack. I accidentally press L and B after my side dash instead of RMB, and this is what happens when you make that mistake. And you feel that chill down your spine attack only happens 3 total times, okay? The first time, it removes his DP down. The second time, it removes his attack down. And the third time, I don't know why it happens, but it happens 3 times. So again, even though I messed up, look at my positioning. My positioning is always on his tail. I'm running straight behind his tail. Whenever he does this attack, whenever he jumps in the air, does the AoE, his typical attack is frontal attack. Then once you get behind his tail, he's gonna turn around. I'll show you that attack in a bit. But again, he goes into his chill down your spine, and this time I do it properly. Stun him, get behind his tail, and I'm just DPSing him right here. Boom, he turns around, I go behind his tail again. Okay, so this is end of phase 1, okay? When you see this message right here, shift F1. When you see this message right here, as soon as you see this message right here, you want to go straight into your shy buffs, as you saw me do. Boom, all your shy buffs. And also your leaf buff too, okay? So both of these, leaf buff and shy buffs, right? And then you want to position always to this area where you see. So it's on the left side of the circle. Okay, you always want to position to the left side of the circle because he's always gonna drop down directly here. He's always gonna drop down here. So you want to be ready to be around here, like right behind him. So once he jumps here, you can start DPSing back attack. Okay, so let's get on him with the play. So he jumps down. You're already in position, and now you're back attacking him. Boom. And in this phase, what you really want to do is you want to make him break his posture. As you can see this right here. Your job is to do enough damage that he does this attack right here. And you'll know when you see this. As soon as he jumps, what you want to do is iframe. I didn't really iframe because he doesn't really kill you with this attack, even if you get hit with it. And there is no real negative by getting hit by it, except for losing your HP. So I just kept DPSing him personally. But sometimes I frame it if I feel like it. Sometimes I just stand on it. I don't really care. But you can iframe it if you want to. See, he took like 40% HP. And I always position somewhere in the middle of the room after this attack. Because, again, as you counted earlier, he only did 2 chill down your spine attacks, okay? He's supposed to do 3 chill down your spine attacks in the first phase. But the first phase ended with only 2 chill down your spine attacks. So what he's going to do is in this phase, he's going to do a chill down your spine attack again. And what ends up happening is he does a backwalk like this, disappears, and then he appears and you have to CC him. So again, we're going to do the same thing. Side dash, LMB, RMB, get behind him and DPS. He's going to turn around, you go right behind him. That's the first thing to do. Alright, let me pause it here. When you see this attack right here, whenever it says claws, if you see this message right here, whenever it says claws, you need to iframe. The way I do it is you just need to iframe twice. So I'm still stuck in an animation right here. As you can see, my boomerang is out right here. As soon as this attack is over, first thing I'm doing is I'm iframing side to side, okay? I'm iframing this way and I'm iframing that way, okay? I'm iframing. 2 iframes is all you need on Shy at least. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. So iframe side, and then this pause, this is enough time for me to get all of my shy buffs out. Whenever he does his claw attack, 2 iframes side to side, and this is enough time that I need to get all my shy buffs out, okay? So I do my shy buffs here, and then I go straight into my leaf buff to cancel out of it. And then again, we're back to going to his tail. Whenever he jumps back twice, he's going to do the frontal cone again, just like that. And again, back at his tail. Back at his tail again. Okay. So this is the next phase, okay? After this, after phase 2 is over, that was phase 2, because you saw the second timer. Now he's going to basically randomly... Well, let's just watch what happens. So, a bunch of rocks are going to fall all over the floor. And there's going to be 2 big rocks that fall. And whenever he does the special attack, where you'll see a 2, the word 2 in the statement, is when you want to get behind one of those 2 rocks and get a DP buff. But outside of that, all you're doing is dodge the red, get behind him, and do DPS. Okay? That's literally all you're doing in this phase. So, again, positioning Behind him, iframing the big circles always. He jumps, and as you can see right here, whenever you see this right here with the word 2 in there, you want to find rocks that look like this big rock, and you want to stand behind it. Typically, there's enough time for you to get behind the rock right here and shy buff. So let's see what I do. So I get behind it, boom, I'm shy buffing. As you can see, there's another there's another same big rock right here. And the other rocks that you see are small. Like this one right here is quite small. I think there's another one. I think this one's also a big one. But you got to identify what a big rock is and what a small rock is. And you need to stand behind a big rock. And you'll get this buff right here. This is the buff you're looking for. Like a turquoise defense up 9-second buff. That's the buff you're looking for. So while I'm behind this and he's about to land, you want to just shy buff. Okay, so that's what I do. Or you can just stand still if you want to. So boom, he jumps down. He's gonna push you behind it. As you can see, the other rocks broke because they were false rocks. And again, I'm positioning right behind him, his tail. He turns around. Right behind his tail again. Right behind his tail again. So, let's talk about that attack right here, okay? So, in this phase, when he walks backwards like that, you saw him walk 2 feet or 2 steps backwards, and then he disappeared. Whenever he does that, that's another indication for you to shy buff. You'll have enough time to shy buff again, and then he's going to spawn in the middle, and you'll see a double donut with the center part being where you are safe, okay? So you want to shy buff during the time that he's in the air, and he's going to fall down. All right, let's go. Boom, I'm shy buffing. And I'm just iframing. There's the donut, I'm in the safe spot. And I'm just DPSing. Here, when he does this attack, what you want to do, okay, is ignore all of this red because it's just fluff. All right? All you want to do is you want to maintain your positioning the same as before, okay? Whoops. Same positioning as before, behind him. As soon as he turns, you want to go right behind him again, okay? So let's go. He turns around. You get right behind him. Boom. Again, you're still DPSing him. He does the claw attack. 2 iframes into shy buff. He's turning around. You go right behind him. He jumps back. Right behind him again. As you can see, when he jumps back like this, you're going to force him to do attacks like that. He jumps in the air. This jump in the air was different, as you saw. He didn't walk back. He just straight disappeared in the air. What ends up happening here is whenever he jumps in the air like this, he'll do a big red AoE, and he's going to land in that big red AoE. Again, you want to position to the tail. I'm personally not as good as other people at this mechanic itself, but what you want to see is as soon as he lands, where his tail is, and you want to be positioned right behind him. If you did it properly, he's going to go into the jump back move straight up. If you did it poorly, then he's going to look at you, attack, then he's going to look at you again and attack. So let's watch this. You see how he looked at me and attacked? Again, he looked at me and attacked. Again, and all I'm doing is positioning behind him to force this jump back. Now have him under control. So, okay. Now, let's talk about this attack now. So, this is the same attack that he did before, but we're going to force him to do a different attack, all right? And here's the reason why. In the 40% to 20% range, you have to get him, he becomes enraged for from 40% to 20%. Okay, he becomes enraged, and you need to get him down to 20% HP. All right, and in this phase, what will end up happening is on the outer area. Let me point this out. In the outer area, like this big AoEs like this, there's going to be a whole bunch of AoEs like this all around the outer circle, okay? All around the outer circle, there's going to be big AoEs. And you don't want to be in them because rocks will fall down from the top and it'll CC you. And in this phase, if you're doing this attack, if you get hit by this attack, you'll get one shot. Okay, so you're forcing him to do his one shot attack. This right here is his one shot attack. You know how he's jumping back towards you? This is his one shot attack. Okay, you don't want to get hit by this at all. So you want to, the whole point of forcing him, how you want him to, you need to force him to be in the exact position that you want him to be, okay? And the exact position that you want him to be is like somewhere out here, okay? So how do you get him from the outer edges to over here, right? That's the goal that you're trying to hit. To do that, you need to force him to jump outside of this outer area. Well, the good thing about the attack that you are forcing him to do is there's attack chain number 2. So the way it works is whenever he jumps back, he'll look at you with an eye glare. So let me play it out and show you how it looks like. Again, this is just a normal thing. Okay, this is where he jumps back, and the thing that we're looking at is his eyes. Okay, we're looking at his eyes. You see the trail. You see this yellow trail. Those are his eyes. And what we're going to do with this attack, we can just go behind him at his tail and then force him to do the frontal attack. Okay, we can just do that if we wanted to, but I'm going to show you attack number 2, which is going to force him out of the edge of the map into the center. Okay, and the way to do that is as soon as he jumps out, all you want to do is stand still and LMB RMB him. You don't really need to LMB RMB him. You just need to stand still. Do not move backwards or do not move forwards. You need to stand still, okay? Stand still and he's going to do this attack. And this is how you want to do it, okay? You need to be very careful or else he's going to do a different attack and he's going to one-shot you, all right? So I'm going to play it. You see how his eyes turn like that? Did you just see how his... Like, pay attention to his eyes. If you see him do just exactly that motion right there, he's going to jump towards you. And the time to iframe... And this is a game of chicken right here, okay? If you iframe too early, he's going to do the one-shot skill and kill you, okay? If you do it properly, he's going to, this is what's going to happen, okay? He's going to jump towards you, and he's going to give you free back attacks. And you obtained your main goal, which is getting him out of the corner, all right? So let's go. He jumped out and turned around. You see that? And you saw his eyes, okay? If you're paying attention to his eyes, you want his eyes to do exactly that. And that's the indication that he's going to jump forward, okay? As soon as you see that, he jumps forward, you need to come behind his tail and DPS him. Again, as long as you maintain this rhythm still, get behind him, he's going to jump back. And then now you know the 2 attacks. If you get behind him, he's going to do a frontal AoE. If you stay in front of him and wait for his eyes to glare, he's going to jump in front of you and turn around like this, okay? So these are the 2 things that you're trying to force him to do, depending on the situation. You see how he just ripped out the earth? Okay, and now this is the next phase, which is enraged phase. About 40% HP, and you're trying to get him to 20% HP, okay? And in the enraged phase, what's gonna happen is this, all right? Let me explain to you the enraged phase mechanic. Enraged phase, outer area, there's gonna be rocks falling in the outer area. You'll see the red AoEs as an indicator. It'll always happen like this, okay? So 3 times rocks will fall outside, okay? And then 1 time the rocks will fall in the middle, okay? So your safe spot is inside for 3 of the rock hits, and then outside for when the rock is hitting in the middle. So I'm gonna play through this again, or not again, but I'm gonna play through this and you guys will see what I'm talking about, okay? Let's go. So he jumps back, and what am I gonna do? Okay, he didn't do the eye move, so I'm gonna give him I don't know what he's gonna do now, but your main job is to again get behind him and DPS him. You don't know the attack that he's doing, so what I'm gonna do right now is I'm just gonna create gap. I'm gonna create distance to force an attack that I understand. So boom, I'm creating gap. I'm creating gap. I'm staying out of his hit range. I got stunned. He did a jump in the middle. Again, I'm staying at his tail. I'm staying at his tail. I'm staying at his tail again. That middle rock is falling. You can just iframe. I was just iframing. He's still in the middle, so I just got behind him. I didn't force the other attack. He jumped in the air. That means he's going to jump down. I got behind his tail. And I'm forcing him to jump forward to me. Now I get behind him. Again, on his tail. Get behind him again. I messed up, so he's doing this attack. The big rock in the middle is falling, so I was iframing. Force him to do the front jump. Outer rocks are falling. He jumps in the air. I risked it and I just I risked it there and I just shy buff. Typically you don't want to shy buff in this phase at all. He CC'd in my iframe, so I V'd. And you gotta understand. Another thing that you gotta learn in this fight is V is most likely a death in this phase itself. But you can figure out ways to live in your V. Middle rock falling, so I have to iframe. I couldn't really DPS him. Again, I'm controlling him the same way, forcing him to jump forward. As you saw his eyes, front rocks were falling, so I didn't want to get behind him. He jumps in the air, and then this is where the final phase is, okay? His final phase happens when you see this. I'm the ruler of the Tiger Palace of Taebak Sangoon, right? As soon as you see this is final stage happens. And that's the exact indicator that you need to shy buff, okay? So get your shy buffs off exactly when you see this. He's going to jump in the air, and you'll see this message right here. That's when you go shy buff. And then as soon as he falls, you want to iframe or SA or something like that. So get your shy buffs up. The only one that really matters is the attack speed one, okay? Just keep that in mind. Only one that really matters for the whole fight is the attack speed one. The other ones don't really matter at all. And again, back at his tail. And let me explain to you the mechanics for this, okay? What's gonna happen here is during this phase, bunch of rocks are gonna fall down. Okay, bunch of rocks are gonna fall down, and there's gonna be red AOE's. Some red AOE's you're gonna ignore, and some red AOE's you're gonna have to pay attention to. Okay, so the danger ones are the circles. Okay, if there's a circle here, if there's a circle here, if there's a circle here, there's a circle here, there's a circle here, there's a big circle here. That basically means where do you want to position? Okay, your positioning needs to be like right here. So you can DPS him. You could be right here. So you can DPS his back. You can be right here. So you can be attack his. You want to attack his butt, okay? From wherever you're standing. If these are the red AoEs that you're given, you want to position in a way that you can attack his butt. And let's say that you cannot attack his butt whatsoever from any angle, then you know what? For the time being, go to his front and attack him from the front. Make sure you don't get hit by a giant circle or a small circle, because getting hit by the rocks means you are CC'd, and you don't have the time to be CC'd, because this phase lasts for 45 seconds alone, and you have to kill him in the 45 seconds. All right, so let's go play it out. When this happens, I get behind his back and I'm DPSing. And the only thing I'm looking out for is the circle AoEs. And the circle AoEs, when the rocks drop, they give you a bit of time before you have to move out. So let's go. Boom, boom, boom. You see these triangle AoEs? You can just ignore them. If you're standing on them, they'll do like some damage, but you can just ignore them. These are fake AoEs, okay? Just RMB him. And look at my positioning. As soon as I see it, like circles, I'm moving out of them. And I'm positioning where there's no circle. Just focus on your DPS rotation and be where there's no circle, okay? Circle here, circle there, circle here, circle there. I'm still out of it, so I'm just keeping DPS, and boom, he's dead. So I'm not saying my time is the best, okay? I'm not saying my time is the best, but this will let you do C7 Sangoon for either the bundle that you want, okay? The C7 bundle. It's gonna let you do Sangoon, so you can get the 20% drop rate if you want. And you don't have to commit a lot to this, okay? What I mean by committing is you don't have to commit your main to come here with, like, ride your horse out here. You don't have to have your main, like, gear. You don't have to have gear. You don't have to have the amount of commitment that you're putting in here for the draft, the food buff, the gear, the crystals. Like, everything is really easy because you can just leave a character here like a Tuvala Timmy and do this on a Tuvala Timmy. This is not impressive. This number is not impressive, but I did it with Tuvala gear, okay? And I got the 20% drop rate buff with Tuvala gear. So yes, I'm gonna get the C7 bundle, okay? I'm gonna get the C7 bundle, and I'm gonna get the drop rate, okay? When you're a Tuvala Timmy and new account, you don't have the luxury of not having drop rate buff. And killing Sangoon, investing 7 minutes of your time every single time for 3 hours, in my opinion, is worth it. So, you know, learn this fight and you can get it. You have 8 minutes to kill him, by the way. I kill him in 7. Not impressive, but this is how I did it, and I just did it on Tuvala. And after you get a lot of practice in, because it took me like weeks of practice to be able to one-shot him like this, okay? So that's like the whole Sangoon guide with all the buffs, all the gear that you need, every attack that he does, how to control him, all the phases. That's everything for Sangoon. And that was my whole guide on Sangoon. Now, yes, you can have more gear and do this better, but as you can see, you can do it with worse gear than Tuvala. All right. Oh, and also make sure you have your right buffs for your shrine when you do this, like the green buff. Um, Let me show you in game. Yep. Manage aura, and this is what I'm talking about. Make sure you guys have all of this. Okay. Make sure you guys have all of this when you do this. You want attack, and then you want all of these also. Okay. So you want all of these, and you want the attack. You don't want the defense at all. Okay. So again, attack and this attack. Both of these two attacks. If you put 5 light orbs, you get increased damage here, and then you get increased damage from here too. Alright? That's everything. Alright, thanks y'all for watching. That's the end of